aquarium nails, but make it snow globe. That doesn't have a ring to it, but I'm gonna figure it out. Okay, so you guys already read the title. I'm gonna attempt to do some aquarium nails, but we're gonna make it Christmas nails by calling it snow globe. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be good, but if it's not good, then y'all wouldn't even be seeing this video right now. I'm not going to ramble too much about it. Let's go ahead and get into some aquarium snow globe Christmas nails. So before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and do our notification shout outs. So these are the first 3 people who commented on my last video, so thank you guys so much for having your post notifications turned on. And if you would like a shout out just like these 3 people here, all you have to do is subscribe and make sure you press that notification bell so you can be notified each and every time I post. So first things first, like always, we go ahead and prep. I'm going to go ahead and push back my cuticles with my cuticle pusher. And then after that, I'm just using a regular sanding band, and I'm just going to remove the shine from my natural nail. And if you don't have a nail drill, you can always use a low grit nail file, because all you're going to need to do is just remove that shine from your nails. The drill that I'm using is a portable nail drill from a cart. And after that's done, I'm just going to take some Swipe by Young Nails, and I'm going to use this to dehydrate the nail plate. As you can see, I'm already running a little low, dangerously low. So I need to go ahead and order some more, but I'm just going to use the last little bit that we have left. So for this set, I want to use soft gel. So I'm going to use my Prep-in-1 gel, and I'm going to put 1 coat on each finger first before I put the tips on. This Prep-in-1 gel and the UV nail lamp that I'm using is from a cart. Now moving on to the nail tips. Now these are the nail tips that I'm using. They're from Amazon. I have them on my Amazon storefront, and I'm just going to take the Prep-in-1 that I used before, and I'm just going to apply that to the inside of the nail tip to adhere to my natural nail. And right here I'm curing it with a cordless UV nail lamp. This one is by Melody Susie. And then off camera I just went on and put the rest of my nails on, and this is how they look. Now I'm going to keep the length the way it is, but I do need to shape because I don't like the way these particular cover tips are shaped. Honestly, these aren't really my go-to cover tips that I normally use in my videos, but I'm kind of running low on my other ones that I normally use. I'm going to put the ones that I normally use up on the screen. But the nails that I have on the screen, the cover tips that I have on the screen right now are my go-to because they're so perfectly shaped. You barely have to shape them. The ones I have on my hands in this video, I have to shape them, unfortunately. I mean, some people might be satisfied with the way these look already, but I just feel like they need to be tapered in just a little bit more. So here they are, all finished. You know, a little shaping never hurt nobody. So now we can move on to the next step. So now I'm going to get out my polygel and slip solution. The polygel I'm using is called Hip, and both the polygel and slip solution is from Cart. And really I wanted to start with the nails that I'm not going to do the little aquarium on. We could just save the best and most complicated thing for last. Well, I'm saying it's complicated now because I never did it before, but first I'm just gonna put a thin layer of this red polygel on the nail, and I'm gonna put glitter over it. So I want to make sure this first layer of polygel is super thin. And the brush that I'm using is not necessarily a polygel brush. I just kind of made it that way because I wanted a bigger brush than the standard polygel brushes that you always get in polygel kits. This was called a nail art brush on Amazon. I'm going to put the picture of it up on the screen so you guys can see. It is on my Amazon storefront if you want to find it. But yeah, I just feel like a bigger polygel brush kind of covers more ground and gets the job done a little quicker. So yeah, I prefer bigger brushes than smaller brushes. But anyways, as y'all can already see, we're still putting on that red polygel, and I have not cured yet. So I'm just going to flatten out and shape up all the polygel on this nail. And then I'm going to pour some glitter on top of the uncured polygel, and then cure the polygel once the glitter is on top. I just wanted to make sure again that the polygel that I'm laying is as thin as possible because I don't want the nail to be thick in the end. But here is the glitter, and I'm just going to pour that glitter on top, and I'm just using a cuticle pusher just to scoop up the glitter, throw it on top. I'm just using what I got. And after the whole nail is pretty much covered, I'm just going to take my finger and kind of just pat the nail down, pat all the glitter down, just to make sure everything, all the glitter is laying flat on the nail before I cure it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and cure it for about 30 seconds. Now I went on and did the next step with the thumb off camera, so I'm just showing y'all how that looks. But for the next step, I'm just going to take some clear poly gel and just cap everything off, just so when I go to file, the glitter is protected and I don't foul off that glitter. Now, I will say, if you already have like poly gel that already comes with glitter in it, this whole thing will be so much easier. You don't even have to cap it off. You just go ahead and put the poly gel on, shape, file, buff, and you're done. But since I don't have a poly gel that has a red glitter in it, I just went this route. And plus, I really favor this chunky red glitter. It is super, super cute. I got it out of some random nail kit that I had for a while. I just thought it would be perfect for this Christmas set. And you can already see here, like, I'm not even finished and the glitter already looks so good after you cap it off with this clear poly gel. And again, this clear poly gel is from Makart. Definitely do not sleep on these glitters that come in these cheaper little nail kits, because listen, they come in handy. Look how good this looks. And once you're satisfied with how your poly gel looks after you lay it and pat it down and everything like that, you're gonna go ahead and cure it for about 30 seconds. And then after I cure, I'm just gonna wipe down the nail with some alcohol. This really just hardens the poly gel so it's not sticky and it's ready for filing. To file, I'm using an 80 grit pan file. You can find pan files on Amazon in a whole pack. I have them in my Amazon storefront. I've always felt more comfortable filing with 80 grit files. I think because the grit is more coarse, it's just super easy to file with. Filing is just way quicker than it is if the file is a little bit duller. So yeah, file with whatever grit you feel most comfortable with filing with, but I love 80 grit files, honestly. But after I file, I'm going to use this carbide bit just to get at the cuticle area, and we're all finished. So I'm going to go ahead and buff the nail out and do the same thing to the pointer finger off camera, because I'm going to do every other nail with whatever nail design that we do on the ring finger. So yeah, this is how everything looks so far. And since I want to do kind of like a snow globe type theme, I want to do hand-drawn snowflakes on each of these fingers. So that's what we're gonna do. So right here, I mixed clear gel with some white gel together to kind of make a diluted white color. And I'm just gonna do dots of that throughout the nail. It's supposed to mimic snow falling in the distance. I saw a creator do this on Instagram, and I wish I would have saved the video. Usually I save videos where I know I'm gonna reuse the idea so I can shout the person out, but I did not save this video, so I apologize. But I saw somebody do this on Instagram, and I had to retry it because I love the way it turned out on their nail set. So I went on and cured those dots off camera, and I'm going to go ahead and top it off with a matte top coat. And once we do the snowflakes on top of this, it's really going to look really, really good. Everything is going to come together, I promise. And this is how it looks after we cure that matte layer. And now we can go ahead and do the snowflakes. To hand paint these little snowflakes, I'm going to be using a detailed liner brush by Beetles, and you're just going to start by making a cross. And I'm using white liner gel from Makart, by the way. And then after I do my cross, then we're going to do 2 lines going through the cross diagonally, just like that. And it already kind of looks like a star a little bit. And then I'm going to take a dotting tool and just put dots throughout the snowflake. I'm going to start with the dot in the middle, of course, and then put dots throughout the different lines. You definitely want it to be symmetrical, so what you do to one side you want to do to the other. It needs to match. So yeah, just keep that in mind when you're putting dots throughout. And then after I put all the dots where they need to be, I'm going to take my detailed liner brush and just make 2 little small lines coming out from underneath each of the dots that I put on my snowflake. Now this is really going to make the snowflake super detailed, so do not skip this step. Now I did not cure not one time throughout this whole entire snowflake, but you can cure as you go, especially if you're worried about making a mistake. It's better to cure as you go. So if you do make a mistake, you can just wipe that one mistake down with acetone, and you're not having to wipe down the whole nail design and doing it all over again. So yeah. But fun fact, I used to think snowflakes were so hard to do when I first got into nail art, but once you break down something into different steps, then it gets so much easier and simpler. Really, honestly, breaking down anything that looks super complicated into simple shapes will help you out, I promise you. That is definitely how I get myself through a lot of my nail art nowadays. But once I finished the snowflake, as you can see, I'm gonna go ahead and dump some clear acrylic on top of that wet gel, and then go ahead and cure that afterwards. You can honestly use clear or white acrylic. Either way, you're going to get this super cute snowflake look. I'm going to do one more snowflake kind of towards the bottom of the nail just to kind of complete the look. Real quick, I do want to mention like one little nail art trick. Whenever you're doing nail art, especially line work, like detailed line work, make sure you put down a coat of a matte top coat down first and then do your artwork. For me, this just kind of helps the lines that I make stay solid lines and they don't kind of spread out and bleed out, because that can happen a lot whenever you're doing line work. I know it happens a lot to me. So yeah, just put that matte top coat down first, then do your nail art, and then cure that. And then if you want a glossy finish, you can go ahead and put your gel top coat on and you're good to go. With this said, I already wanted the background to be matte, so everything really just worked out. But yeah, that's just a little nail art trick for the people that didn't know. But I'm just gonna finish up this snowflake so we can move on to this snow globe / aquarium nail. Okay, so now that we're done with the two snowflakes, I'm going to do a couple of more white dots to kind of mimic snowfall. But this time I'm just going to do like pure white and not diluted, so you can really see the dimension with the snow falling in the background, like in the distance. And then you got the snow falling closer to you, if you get what I'm saying. So yeah, we're going to do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and dump some clear acrylic on top of those dots. And this is how they look all together. It got me super excited about doing the snow globe nails. So let's go ahead and get into that. So first, what you're going to want to do is get a cover tip that's one size smaller than the cover tip you already have on your nail. You also want to size it up to make sure it's enough space to put the glitter inside. And then once it is, then you can go ahead and adhere that cover tip onto the other cover tip with some top gel coat. So I just put one layer of top gel coat, and then I put the other cover tip on top of the cover tip that's on my nail, and then I go ahead and cure that. You want to make sure it's centered too, so that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just making sure that it's in the center and I have it where I want it before it cures all the way through. But yeah, it's pretty centered. And so now we can move on to the next step. So next, we want to make sure those sides are sealed in and no leaks are happening. So I'm going to take some clear poly gel, put it on each side, and lay it flat and pat it down into the shape that I need it in, which is square. You can also do this with acrylic. A lot of people do this with acrylic over poly gel, but you can do it with poly gel too. I'm not using acrylic as much anymore now, so I wanted to try this with poly gel, and it's working out. It worked out, let me just tell you, it worked out pretty well. So yeah, if you don't have acrylic or you're not comfortable with acrylic yet, you definitely get some poly gel and try out this trend. But as you already saw, I kind of filed down the free edge a little bit so both cover tips are even. And then I'm going to take some poly gel and cover that little hole at the bottom. And as I'm doing that, I'm also trying to shape the nail and keep it at a square shape, because it's kind of looking like a coffin a little bit. So I'm just trying to fill it out a little bit more towards the bottom so it can look more square than coffin. And once I was satisfied, I cured it off camera, and now you can see I am filing everything down. And honestly, I was expecting it to look a little bit more bulkier than the way it's looking, but I'm loving this shape. Now, this is my very first time doing aquarium nails, so I made a couple mistakes. So let me show you guys. So as you can see from a side view, if I was to go ahead and put the glitter in and cap off that little opening right there, it would be extremely too bulky towards the cuticle area. So for a quick fix, I ended up just cutting it down with some clippers, but to just avoid this, I wouldn't put that second cover tip so far up. I would kind of place it a little further down a little bit, and that's kind of how far I went with the clipping. I might have clipped it a little too far, but I think that's pretty good. Now here's another mistake I made. Please learn from my mistakes and do not stuff the nail with a whole bunch of glitter. Right here you can see I'm just stuffing, and what I ended up doing was not allowing enough space for movement. So whenever I put the oil in there and sealed it up and I moved it from side to side, nothing really moved. So it kind of defeated the purpose of what my vision was for this whole set. So I ended up popping that whole nail off and starting all over again. Do not worry, I did not record myself doing it all over again. I just want to let y'all know the mistake that I made so y'all know what's going on. But here is the nail that I redid, and I'm gonna put just a little bit of glitter in here. I'm super scared to put too much, so I just dumped a little bit in there, and then we're gonna fill that up with some oil. We're not gonna fill the oil up all the way to the top. We want a little bubble room in there, and that allows movement as well. And this is cuticle oil, by the way. And now we're ready to close off that opening. So I just put enough polygel to cover that entire cuticle area, really the whole nail bed up at the top. And I really just fill it out as if I'm doing like a regular polygel application. Like there's nothing I needed to do differently in order to close this little gap. You just want to make sure, number one, you're sealing up that opening, and then number two, you're smoothing out any lumps or bumps. It ended up being a little bulky, like around the cuticle area still, and I kept trying to fix that. But honestly, you could just get a drill and drill that down. That's what I ended up doing. So first I just took my hand file and just filed inward on the sides, so the sides could curve in instead of being all out and bulky. And then I came back with my drill and took my carbide bit and finished it off around the cuticle area. So the cuticle area can be seamless, and that apex can also be seamless. And now I'm buffing out the nail, and now we're ready to do nail art. So I'm doing something super simple. I just want the nail art to complement the aquarium nail. I don't want to do too much. We want to do just enough. So I'm just going to outline the outside of the nail with some red. And I'm doing this just to camouflage some mistakes that are on the side, because it's some blemishes on the sides of the nail. You can tell like kind of where I had polygel and kind of some spots where I didn't have polygel. So it's kind of some spots there. So I wanted to camouflage that. So this is how I'm doing that. I'm using some red gel paint by Madam Glam. And we're just going to fill that in all around. And I'm not going to stop there. I still wanted something else because it felt like something was missing. So I decided to do some icicles coming down from the top. I really want the glitter to mimic snow, like snow falling from the sky. So I think the icicles will be a nice little touch. So I'm putting some matte gel polish down first before I go in and do my icicles. Again, the matte gel polish just makes it a little easier to do nail art on. And with icicles, I honestly just start with little lines. So I put a line down wherever I want an icicle at, and then I just build the icicle from there. So I build around the little lines. I think the nice thing about icicles is that you don't have to have a steady hand, because, you know, icicles are jagged. So if you have shaky hands like me, because I drink so much caffeine, it's cool with this nail design, because, I mean, it kind of works out. So shaky hands are welcome with this one. So as you can see, I'm just kind of building it up around the top really, and making it a little thicker, each line a little thicker. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I'm satisfied, and then we can fill out that top too with some white gel. And before I cure this, of course, I'm going to go ahead and dump some acrylic on top. This time I'm going to dump some white acrylic. This white acrylic from Kiara Sky has some glitter kind of sprinkled throughout. So I thought that will be perfect for these little icicles. So I used that to dump on the wet gel, and then we're gonna go ahead and cure. And we're done. But I do want to put some clear gel at the bottom where that aquarium nail is going to be, so it's not matte, so we can clearly see the glitter. So yeah, I'm just going to finish it off with some clear top coat, and then we're done. I'm going to use a detail liner brush to really get in between each icicle, so it's not matte in between there. And then I'm going to go ahead and cure. Okay, so this is the finished product. Now let me point something out to you guys really quickly. So yeah, I wish I would have put a little bit, just a little tad bit more glitter in there, because it's movement and I love it, but it's not enough. I wanted more, but I am all in all super satisfied with how this looks. Like the total package of this whole set is chef's kiss. I just wish it just had just a little bit more glitter. Like, oh my gosh. I will say the pinky definitely makes up for some of that glitter, because I packed that pinky to capacity. I'm going to give this a 8 out of 10. But y'all let me know how y'all like the finished result in the comments down below. Would you try this on yourself? Would you wear these nails? But if you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I have more Christmas nails coming up in my future videos, so I will see you guys in my very next video for more Christmas content.